Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. I've never quilted before, but I have been sewing for years and I've always admired the quilts my friends and family have made. So today I decided to try it for myself using the DIY quilt-along course from Curious.com. I'll have links in the video description. The course contains 18 step-by-step lessons, including 12 quilt blocks and 6 more lessons on finishing your quilt like a pro. As with all the classes at Curious, the lessons are carefully indexed so you can find exactly the technique you're looking for and you have access to them for life. I decided to try 2 of the blocks from the video. The first one I attempted was the strip, kind of modern strip block quilt with the applique, and I did 2 versions of that. I think I like this one the best. This is the second one I did. Now, the thing I had the most trouble with, since I am used to sewing clothing, I'm used to a 5/8 seam allowance, so with quilting you use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So the first trouble I ran into was making my block, it wasn't big enough. So I simply just added another strip and just kept on trucking. The applique was easier than I thought. I was really worried about having these raw edges, but I just zigzagged over the edges and it turned out fine. The cool thing about this class, the instructor is very laid back, and she's always saying, like, don't worry, if it doesn't equal exactly this, it's not a big deal. She shows you how to square up your blocks so they'll still work within your quilt. Now, so this was the easy one. I decided to pick the easy one that I like the most because I love the modern look more than a traditional look, but then I also really like the Ohio Star block, so I decided to try that one even though I wasn't sure I'd be able to do it because it looked really complicated. So that one I did up here in this panel. If you can see, you got the black square in the middle, and then you got these little triangles here, but it was actually really easy. So step by step, you follow along. Each lesson is pretty short, between about 4 to 10 minutes. So you kind of probably want to pause it as you go. That's what I did. And I recommend that you do it as you're watching it. Don't watch it all and then go to your sewing machine. I would do it right along. It's a quilt along, so you should follow along with her. Now, I would say this is probably a beginning quilting series, since I've never quilted before and I was able to actually make a little quilt. I just did 4 blocks, and then I, added the batting and the backing and the binding, and of course it's not perfect, but I wanted to make sure I finished a quilt, because if I waited and did some more blocks and they came out better, I'd probably not even bother finishing this. She'll tell you how to do the sashing, which again, mine's not perfect, but I've got a finished quilt in an afternoon, and even though it's small, I'm happy with it. You're going to need a few supplies you might not have if you're just a sewer. I had these because they were given to me some time ago. You're going to need a cutting mat that's this is probably small as you want to go. This is about 18 by 24. You're going to need a rotary cutter. This is a definite. If you don't have one of these, you'll want to borrow it or purchase one for this. And you're going to need a straight quilter's rule or something you can use for this. It's even better if it has a grid, but this is what I had, so this is what I used. Some other things that would be handy that I didn't have would be one of the square quilter's rulers, and what I used instead, because I'm a paper crafter, I had a 12 by 12 square mat, so I used that to help square up my edges on the quilt. And something else I used, because I didn't have the little gridded rulers, I used some stamping blocks, measured them out to see how big they were, made little marks with Sharpies, and kind of used that to kind of help me trim my squares down. So, you can totally use what you have, but you're definitely going to need the rotary cutter, the long rule, and the cutting mat, which you could probably borrow from a quilter. I'm so happy with my little quilt. I didn't think I'd be able to make one. I thought maybe I'd get a couple blocks done and that would be about it. But I'm just so excited that I could actually have a finished quilt when I was done, and my daughters both want one for their beds now, so I guess I'll be doing a little more quilting in the future. If you are interested in the DIY quilt-along course or any of the other 10,000 plus classes available at Curious.com, please click on the links below and you can save 50% on all classes now through January 4th. While you're there, be sure to sign up for Curious to be notified of current specials and daily free classes. If you have a New Year's resolution to start scrapbooking, exercise more, or cook healthier meals, you can find classes for that too on Curious.com. I want to thank Curious for letting me review this class today. I want to thank you for stopping by, and until next time, happy crafting!